Let's take a look at another PlayStation Plus free game of the month, Zombie Army 4 Dead War. Oh, and one more thing. Welcome to the night shift. Let's get you guys clocked in. How's it going, everybody? It is I, your one and only shift leader, Logan, and it is Review Friday. Except for it's not Friday anymore. It is, in fact, Saturday. And the whole reason behind that is, unfortunately, I did end up getting sick on Thursday and a little bit on Friday, and I just couldn't get the video out, being a one-man editing team. So I had to unfortunately push it back till Saturday. So, but that all being said, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Zombie Army 4 Dead War, another PlayStation Plus free game of the month for April. And it is an interesting game, to say the least. But let's get into it. So, if you haven't joined us for one of our reviews before, we judged this on 4 categories: story, gameplay, audios and visuals, and then any bugs or glitches that we ran across the way as we played. Now, before I get started, I kind of want to let you guys know where I roughly am in this game. I've probably played about 10 to 12 hours, and I say that in real time. That doesn't necessarily mean 10 to 12 hours into like story. It just 10 to 12 hours of what I have personally played. So it might be a little shorter than some, and it might be a little further than others. But from what I've played so far, it's been really interesting, and I've really enjoyed it because this is, if you don't know anything about this, it is a game brought to us by the same developers who bring us the Sniper Elite series. So it uses the pretty much the identical like game mechanics from the Sniper Elite series. So you have those long range sniper shots that deal those massive damage, and like you get to see it tear through vertebrae and puncturing lungs and stuff like that. And so it's really, set on a really interesting and, in my mind, a unique gameplay style. But let's before we get into that, let's start on story. So, Zombie Army 4 is, in fact, like Oddworld, a series game. And so, unfortunately, just as like Oddworld, I am a newcomer to this series. I haven't played any of the ones before. But I feel like Zombie Army 4 does a really good job of informing players as to what has happened on before. Because it has that whole cutscene before talking about what happened, about how, instead of the war ending, in fact, Hitler raised the dead and used that army of the dead to continue the war. And you fought and fought and fought and finally sent Hitler either to hell or killed him. One or the other. It seemed like you sent him to hell or something like that. I mean, I don't know how else to take, Hitler falling into this massive pit of death, which you did see in the gameplay there. So you can kind of get where I'm saying. It kind of seemed like you were just sending him to hell. But yeah, I felt like they did a good job about informing you of that. And then, now here you are trying to take on the rest of the supposedly no leadership zombie army. But as I played, it seemed like there was, that wasn't necessarily true. But I'm not far enough in there that I've gotten any answers on that yet. So, but the story is interesting to me, and like I said, I feel like that it's interesting because they've embraced certain things that I feel like some developers would kind of steer clear of, like the whole cultist nature, which, if people didn't necessarily know, Hitler was actually into the occult and stuff like that. He believed in that kind of stuff, and so it's really interesting and really kind of nice to see them embrace that, because it just feels right to me that they embraced it, and it's unique. A lot of people wouldn't do it, and it adds to this kind of almost, I don't want to say whimsical, but it's it's not like what you would expect from a necessarily zombie game. Like it, it's different, it's unique, and I like that. Now, going on to gameplay, I really, really feel like that's where this game shines, and it's basically because they've had a whole series and then another series to build on it, so it's pretty solid. You've got the Sniper Elite series where they fleshed out that gameplay, and then turn around and then they've had the other Zombie Army games, and they've built on it and built on it and made it better and better. Now, I am going to get a little nitpicky, just a little. I felt like the sniping in this didn't necessarily work as much as I think they wanted it to. There are moments where it's super useful, but there are also moments where it's a major downside because your primary weapon is a sniper rifle. And so you have like you can have like shotguns or assault rifles or whatever as your secondary, but you can't carry nearly as much ammo as your primary. And so 9 times out of 10 you're using your sniper rifle, and it especially when you're playing by yourself, it can get a little, like I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And I'm gonna admit to my faults. I was dumb. I thought there for the longest time. I thought you had to aim down when you aim down the sights. I thought you could only aim down the scope with a sniper rifle. I found out later that is not true. There is a way to just aim down sights and not through the scope. I felt super dumb, so trust me, I learned my lesson there. But unfortunately for this gameplay, you'll only see me when I'm using my sniper rifle aiming through the scope because of that. But gameplay was really nice, and again, that Sniper Elite gameplay was, it's flushed out. It's nice. And then with that, however, I did notice a few times it felt janky, and I don't know if that's just some bug or what, but it just felt like when I'm sprinting, turning corners or whatever, just like I wasn't turning sharp enough, and when you would turn, would look wrong, and when you're switching items, sometimes it felt weird, stuff like that. And again, it's just being nitpicky, and it's just being like, okay. But when I looked at the release date, it was showing 2020 release, so I just felt like, okay, but if this released in 2020 and with all the previous games for it to have built upon, I kind of felt like it should have, hashed all that out beforehand. But again, just me being picky. Going on to audio and visuals, this is one of those games where I'm not going to say it wasn't important, but I didn't really notice it all that much, mainly because it was doing its job. The music keeps you into the game, and so it helps keep you in that moment, but it doesn't overtake it so you notice it. The voice acting was good. It wasn't necessarily anything like I would say like Emmy worthy or anything like that, but it was good. It was believable and everything like that. A lot of your conversations are via walkie-talkie and yourself, and so it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, fair enough. But I do have to say, visually wise, there are two things that I absolutely diehard loved. For one, the quirky nature that they gave for the zombies, because, I mean, the thing is, right, we're all familiar with Nazi zombies. I mean, we've played, Call of Duty zombies and seen those, and everybody's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But the fact that they went a step further, and like I'm pretty sure it's the second mission that you do, where like you go to Venice and you see the like gondola drivers, and they're wearing the gondola uniforms that they wear, and you'll run into other people that just wear normal clothing. I kind of just sat there and went, now see, that's cool. This is immersive, because I'm not just fighting an army of Nazi zombies. Other people got turned because they died, and they got turned, and so now I'm facing zombie versions of those people too. That was unique. That was cool. That made me feel immersed. And we're going to, not necessarily address those terrible flames that just came on. I'm not going to say they're terrible. I guess I shouldn't say terrible, but they could be better. But yeah, no, I just felt like the fact that they added different skins for the zombies, even like I said, just they're the same type of enemy, like they're the same grunt zombie or whatever, but they just have different clothing on or whatever. I just felt was unique and cool. And the second thing, visually wise, that we need to talk about, and unfortunately I don't have gameplay of it, is the freaking zombie shark. Giant zombie shark. I did include that in the thumbnail, so you know what I'm talking about. That thing is awesome and glory. Like, that was just unique and cool, and I thought that was fun. So, overall, where does this game land, right? That's why you're all here. Zombie Army 4 is unique, and it's interesting, and it's fun. And the fact that it is free for PlayStation Plus users this month, is at least reason enough to add it to your library and, have it for when you're feeling like a zombie game or something like that. Because it'll definitely hit that note for you. But where I'm going to score it, and we're going to go through the categories here. So story, it's unique, it's interesting, it's not always present though. It seems to kind of fade in the background a little bit because it hits that zombie note so much, and so I feel like story-wise, I feel like it's going to probably be a 6.5 just because of how unique and interesting I feel like it is. And then gameplay, I think this is where this game shines, because I feel like the gameplay is set on a very solid foundation. It's that Sniper Elite, gameplay, so you've got those cool sniper shots, you've got all these different equipment like, grenades and trip mines and stuff like that, and so you've got a lot to play with, and I think that it deserves a score to reflect that. So I would say probably a 7 would reflect that really well for me. And then we get to audios and visuals, right? Audio side really didn't do much for me, but it was those visuals. And I'm not talking about the flames, I'm not talking about like the backgrounds, which the backgrounds are great. I like them. I was, it built the world for me. But it was just the subtle things. Like I said, the zombie shark's not a subtle thing. Okay, I was wrong there. But like the different outfits for the zombies, those things that make the world feel alive. Because like I said, we've all done Nazi zombies, we've all seen that, but it's always the same, almost like cookie cutter, like 3 outfits or whatever. This, you had different outfits, you had they all looked kind of different. I mean, yeah, you'd have, the same ones or similar, but you know, the fact that I can go to Venice and see gondola drivers and, other like civilians and less of the actual army ones was kind of cool. And then of course, like I gotta say, like the shark, and then there was other things too, like planes and stuff like that. That's just really cool. Visually for me, I think it also puts it at a 7. And then, you know, taking into account the, jankiness, which I feel like was the only issue really that I had with this game, like bugs or glitch or whatever you want to call it. I'm not even sure if it is one. I feel like overall, this game that puts this game at a probably solid, I want to say a 7. And that's mainly because that's what I, feel like it deserves going through these categories. And I think just mainly what gets it there, at least for me anyways, is just that it's just overflowing with personality that most games just kind of seem to be lacking. And it's just kind of a nice breath of fresh air. So, that all being said, that's all I've got for Zombie Army 4. But I still have some time left, and I wanted to take this time to talk to you guys about next week because it's going to be a little different. Because as most of you probably know, and if you don't know, I'll tell you now. Next week, on Thursday, Returnal drops, a brand new PlayStation game. And I would normally do my review on Friday. However, I feel like it's an injustice to you guys if I just, try and play it real quick and then put it out. So I'm going to go ahead and delay that till Monday and, release that when that comes out. When that, I, had enough time to play that, that gives me the weekend to play it. So be sure to be on the lookout next week for some Let's Plays and hopefully one of the last parts of our series for Resident Evil 7. And I'll see you guys next time.